Hi, I'm Valerie Rose. Welcome to Pictures Up Panoramic Perspectives. Joining us today is Maya Washington. She received a BA in Dramatic Arts from the University of Southern California and an MFA in Creative Writing from Hamline University. Her work has garnered awards or fellowships from Commercial Directors Diversity Program, McKnight Foundation, the Jerome Foundation, Minnesota State Arts Board, the Minnesota Film and Television, and others. Originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Maya began her creative career as a dancer turned musical theater actor in the Twin Cities vibrant theater community as a child performer. While at USC, she studied acting, directing, film, and dramatic writing, which allowed her to explore her passion for storytelling in a variety of mediums. While pursuing her MFA, Maya worked full time as a professional actor and choreographer. She even managed to complete a national tour of William S. Yellow Robe's Grandchildren of the Buffalo Soldiers, a co production of the Penumbra Theater Company and Trinity Repertory Company, as she finished her MFA thesis in poetry. Her background on stage, camera, and behind the scenes has given her the opportunity to work on everything from live theater, commercials, and print ads to web series, films, and television. Maya is dedicated to projects that have a sense of purpose in the world, selecting stories that illuminate some aspect of the human experience that is untold, rarely seen, or might benefit from new approaches to issues of diversity and inclusion, primarily in America. Her film work has also allowed her projects to have a global reach, including Toronto, Budapest, Hong Kong, Berlin, and Rome. I'm very pleased to introduce you to Miss Maya Washington. Hi, Maya. How are you?
Hey.
And thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
First, let me start off by saying congratulations on the History Channel. I was there. Can you talk a little bit about the piece and your experience in directing it, and how did it all come about?
Well, it was a really cool project that Committee Films, a production company based in the Twin Cities, was working on and approached me. I think towards the end of the summer, maybe yeah, I think towards the end of the summer, and shared the proof of concept and sort of what the series would be about, and gave a number of different episodes that they were looking for directors for. And the two that really spoke to me were the Challenger episode and the Bloody Sunday episode about Selma and John Lewis. And so it was really a great opportunity to reenact history. And I really enjoyed, it's the second project that I've worked on with Committee Films. They have a really interesting way of doing hybrid documentary
Yes.
narrative work where there is a screenplay. So it's, a scripted drama, but there's also interviews and a very hybrid docu-series structure. So it's been really interesting having the opportunity to work with them and direct a few projects with them.
I understand you have some acting in your background. How did you, tell me about that, and tell me about how that transitioned into directing?
Yeah, well, I started in dance as a like, I think I was about 8 years old, and really got very serious about dance. Think I studied for at least like 10 years of my youth, and got very serious and got into a competitive dance program line, kind of very Dance Moms, that TV show.
Okay.
It was very like dance studio,
Was it
go to
specific?
competitions and
What
travel and stuff like that. And
was it, ballet or tap?
it was ballet,
Ballet. Okay.
tap, what we used to learn then is jazz, which sort of now more often you're going to see hip hop or contemporary, the types of dance people are doing besides ballet.
Okay.
But it was very aligned with the times of the tap, jazz, and ballet of the 90s.
Okay.
And started getting into musical theater in middle school, and really didn't look back from there. And my dance training really helped me quite a bit as a musical theater performer. And I went off to college and got a degree in theater at USC, University of Southern California. So I'm a Trojan.
Okay.
And had a pretty, reasonable, decent acting career. I made my full-time living as an actor and model. And that allowed me to go to graduate school for writing and get a master's of fine arts in creative writing. I'm also a poet and a playwright, and started writing, directing, and producing films about 10 years ago. So my acting background is still very much a part of my life. I still occasionally do projects on screen as an actor, performer. But I definitely think it's informed how I approach directing.
I see. Well, before I forget, thank you for, allowing me to be a part of the History Channel's episode. I really appreciated that you selected me. And there was something else I was going to say. Oh, I was going to ask you, so what programs have we seen you in?
So, I did a lot of print advertising. I'm only 5'3", so pretty much a lifestyle model. So I'm not a runway high fashion model. That wasn't my experience. So I've done different products for Target, packaging, ads for Best Buy. I think my first commercial was for Jergens lotion. Did a handful of made for TV movies, and lots of theater. So if you're in the Twin Cities, you might have seen me at the Guthrie or History Theater or Penumbra.
Okay.
I did a national tour of a show called Grandchildren of the Buffalo Soldiers. I actually originated a role. That is a lovely play by William S. Yellow Robe Jr., and a Assiniboine playwright who chronicled his life experience of being mixed blood, Assiniboine Native American, and having African American heritage. And so that was a co-production with Trinity Repertory Company in Rhode Island. So that was a big, national tour, which was a really fun experience that gave me opportunities to do a variety of venues. I performed at House of Blues in LA, and a few other theater companies and theaters in Los Angeles. So I'd say the bulk of my work and most of how I made my living was truly in theater, and supplemented quite a bit with modeling and acting and commercials and things like that.
So what programs have we seen you in?
So, I did a lot of print advertising. I'm only 5'3", so pretty much a lifestyle model. So I'm not a runway high fashion model. That wasn't my experience. So I've done different products for Target, packaging, ads for Best Buy. I think my first commercial was for Jergens lotion. Did a handful of made for TV movies, and lots of theater. So if you're in the Twin Cities, you might have seen me at the Guthrie or History Theater or Penumbra. I did a national tour of a show called Grandchildren of the Buffalo Soldiers. I actually originated a role. That is a lovely play by William S. Yellow Robe Jr., an Assiniboine playwright who chronicled his life experience of being mixed blood, Assiniboine Native American, and having African American heritage.
Oh,
And so that was a co-production with Trinity Repertory Company in Rhode Island. So that was a big, national tour, which was a really fun experience that gave me opportunities to do a variety of venues. I performed at like House of Blues in LA, and a few other theater companies and theaters in Los Angeles. So I'd say the bulk of my work and most of how I made my living was truly in theater, and supplemented quite a bit with modeling and acting and commercials and things like that.
Anything you want to say to the camera?
I'm about to kill it.
All right. Good luck.
Good luck.
from a director standpoint, what is something that will really turn you on when an actor comes in to audition, and what is something that will really turn you off?
So I think the things in general, because I'm an actor, and I remember I skipped a little step about, I didn't just like magically become a director out of nowhere. One of my survival jobs as an actor was working for a casting director. So I was an associate casting director for quite a while. And I think as an actor, I have compassion for what that experience is like, and even, in the past couple of years since COVID, I've even been asked to submit self-tapes of my own, which has helped me have some serious compassion and appreciation, knowing that when I see an actor's, 3-minute tape, that this person might have rearranged all the furniture in their house, did a full set of makeup and hair, and figured out what we're going to wear and learn the material, and took the time to show up, so I'm someone who really respects and appreciates that, and doesn't take it lightly that it's, reasonable to ask 100 or 200 people to rearrange the furniture in their house and record an audition.
But yeah, I do appreciate that, because I don't think that people really know how much it takes, to do that kind of thing. They just see, that 3 minutes, and they, okay. No, it takes a lot.
You could have put 8 hours into that 3 minutes for all I know. So for me, I think I generally, at least this is what I was taught when I was first starting out in, taking casting director workshops or working in the theater, that it is true that the casting director, the director, whoever's involved in the casting situation, like, we are rooting for you. We're hoping that you will be what we're looking for. So yes, I have been on the other side of things and walked in the uncomfortable, unpleasant situations where a casting director shouldn't act like I was doing them a favor by showing up, or people have, this attitude that I think is unnecessary and inappropriate when people are disrespectful to actors or not appreciative of their time. But I generally, and I feel like the people that I gravitate to and work with have that same sort of approach, that we're really hoping for the best and we want an actor to do a great job. And I'll even go so far. There's been times where, at least in the past couple of years, when people are doing their own self-tapes, where if I see something that I really like, but want to see more, I'll reach out to an actor, in an attempt to help them get the job, because maybe there was something in their audition that really excited me, but there's other people on the team, who also need to be in agreement with me that this is the direction to go. So I will often, if it's doable, I'll take that extra step and ask for a redirect or ask for something more. I'll even go so far as look at people's Instagrams or look for other, look at the reels on their profile, but also try to confirm, what my gut is telling me, that this person could play a role. So I think I the question you ask though is like, what turns me on? What, what helps me know that this is the right fit? It's just, it's something that happens where, they're interesting looking, because it's a visual medium. So it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
really like the way this person looks.
Mhm.
I feel like they're this character. I feel like they're connected to the text or whatever it is. They understand how to act through subtext. And with film and television, it's very different than theater because not that you have a ton of time in theater, but you have a little more time in theater to develop and coach an actor to the performance that you're looking for.
I see.
Whereas with film and TV, they have to show up on set as the character ready to go. We don't have time to warm up and do, exercises and give homework. It's your action and you're doing the role. I think things that turn me off, I think it's really, I don't know that I have an answer for that because I just have so much compassion for actors and how hard it is and how much gumption and courage it takes to put yourself out there. So, I'm sure there are casting directors and people who, oh, my pet peeves are when actors do this or that. But I think, some are just probably pragmatic things like if you make it really hard for me to find you. I'm not saying you have to be like an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, person, where you just have an immense following or something. But if I'm in a situation where I really like you or like your performance, but there's something that's maybe there's another person who's as good a fit possibly for the role, but there's something intuitive about you that I'm really excited about and want to be able to convince everyone else that this is the way to go, but I have no means of finding you or contacting you, or I'm very limited in your digital footprint to kind of do that research on my own and then share it with producers or share it with someone. So it's not that it's not really a turnoff, but it's like you're gonna have a better chance of getting the job if you exist. You don't have to be famous. But when I see, I get to, this person has, some depth and something interesting about them going on, or they're involved in something, it helps me better understand you in a way that the 3-minute video and your resume don't really help me paint the picture. And so that being said, though, it's like, I remember when, I was being warned, like, the internet's forever, be mindful of what you put on your social media. To a certain extent, that's kind of true. But it's really about like knowing your brand. So if I'm looking for something very wholesome and I have to convince, maybe it's for a family friendly show or something.
Right. Yeah.
And you're a whole adult living your whole adult life, expressing yourself and enjoying your freedom of speech as you should, on your social media. But the client that I'm, delivering this project for, has a very specific audience of children and that may not be a fit. It's not a criticism of somebody,
Right.
living their best life and doing them. But it's like, if I go to your Instagram and it's a children's show and your content isn't very child friendly and your brand isn't, it's not a turnoff for me that you know who you are, but it's just recognizing that in that case, you want to see if you can find projects that align with all of who you are. It doesn't mean that you aren't a great person or wouldn't have a great, children's show or whatever, but those things make it a little bit harder for me and make it more of a stretch to convince a client that,
Yeah. So having a web presence is important to an extent, and be careful about your brand.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
To really.
So what's the absolute best thing an actor can do to tip the scale in their favor?
knowing the material,
Mhm.
being off book,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, taking some time before you start recording or however you're recording this to really think about, can we see your face? Are you lit well?
Mhm.
Are you following now that we've been in 2 years of self-tapes? Casting directors are being a little more specific about, okay, I need a medium shot of you doing this, and then I want to see your hands, and then I want to see this or that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and, you know, as an actor, I feel like it's a little much, but I think as someone who remembers what it would be like in LA for that chapter of my life where you put on clothes, and I remember my first car I had did not have air conditioning, and so I get ready for an audition, drive in traffic an hour, sweating, then go to the bathroom and try to put
Yeah.
myself back together. You get the sides or you get, the little instructions, and then you go in the room for what felt like 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes if you were lucky. And then you leave, and then you may or may not hear anything. And you've now invested, 3 hours of your life, the hour it took you to, prepare for the role or learn the material, the hour it took you to do what I call black girl glam or black girl hair,
Yeah.
which is a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like
I'll just say, yeah.
I'm just going to show up at my audition. It's a whole thing because you got to figure that out. You got to figure out makeup. They want you to come in a blue shirt or a pink, I don't know, or a swimsuit. Then you got to go find the pink shirt or the swimsuit. And then you drive the hour. Then you're in there for 2 minutes. Then you drive an hour home. And maybe you called off of work or et cetera, et cetera. So I think the advantage of being able to record yourself in your own home eliminates some of that stress. And you have the benefit of something we didn't have when you would go into a casting room, is the take that the casting director is willing to give you is the take that you get. So sometimes you only get one take. Maybe they'll do a couple takes, but when you're in your own home, you can record it until you get it right, and you can watch it back, and you can pay attention to, I have a light here right now that's allowing you to see me. You can adjust, look, it changes the perspective where the camera is. There's things that you have control over that can help you be in your best light, literally. And so I think that's an advantage if you can find confidence in trying to, pull together the best tape that you can, because that's going to unconsciously influence who's watching, because you already look like you're camera ready, or you already look like we could just drop you into the project that we're working on. So I think those are probably the best things you can do.
Okay, well, we have about 4 minutes left. Any last words for actors or even, prospective directors or?
No, I think, if this is what you love to do, trust that and do it. Don't wait for someone to hire you to do it. Hopefully, everyone gets hired and gets jobs and gets opportunities to work on, big budget projects, because it's fun, right? It's cool, and you get to make really cool things. But if you truly love what you do and you love to tell stories, where in your life can you offer your talents? Can you go read at a children's school? Or on Zoom, read picture books to children, or find ways to give in your community your gifts and your talents, and to do that, and to stay connected to why you love it, and don't base your career on whether or not someone else agrees or hires you, but on the very fact that you are giving of yourself and finding audiences who like you and like what you do, and developing those relationships, I think is a really great approach.
Well, Maya, I so very much appreciate you taking the time because I know you're busy, and I appreciate you as a director. I'm proud of you as a director, as an African American woman, and I'm so very happy to have had the opportunity to work with you. And I just want to thank you. And anything else you want to say?
I have a book out.
Yes, tell me about
People
the
can
book,
get my book.
please. We have
Book
to.
has nothing to do with acting, but there is there's a little bit more that you get a sense of sort of my trajectory as an artist in there. But it's called Through the Banks of the Red Cedar, My Father and the Team That Changed the Game. And it's about my father, Gene Washington's journey from the segregated South to Michigan State University and later the Minnesota Vikings as a pioneer in football and college athletics. He was a member of the first fully integrated college football team. I also made a film by the same name, so that you can watch on PBS platforms. You can get the book on Amazon or in bookstores. And another film that I have out right now is called Clear, and you can stream that on Quelly TV and on Argo.
Okay.
So those are my little plugs.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Maya, and much continued success to you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye. How do you feel if an actor comes dressed as the character? If they want to be, if you're looking for a doctor and they have on a white coat, or is that a turnoff for you? Or if, because I can't remember the actor's name, but she was in Coming to America, and she said that she had dressed like the actor and as the role, and that she felt like that's why she got the job. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's subtle is king or queen. So, yeah, I think if you have a lab coat in your wardrobe, if you have a prom dress, or, that's very literal, but as performers, as actors, you do start to collect random pieces. And so I think having a lab coat or a blazer or dressing as though we can see you looking like the medical professional, so if you have scrubs, and a lot of times breakdowns will ask for you to show up, in scrubs or lab coat or whatever. So I think that's okay. I wouldn't go into like Party City full police officer outfit or or something, you know what I mean? Something that you got at a costume store. I wouldn't do all of that. But if you're auditioning for the role of a police officer or a medic, let's say medic, because I know that's, it's controversial these days. But let's say you're going to go for the role of a EMT or a firefighter, a golf shirt tucked into some pants with a belt. It's mimicking the shape of that uniform or what that person would wear. But I don't think you need to show up in a full police uniform or a firefighter uniform or full stethoscope and all of the things. But if you have those things as part of your wardrobe, your bin of accessories and things, I don't think it's a don't do it. I think it's just be reasonable that you don't go so far that you look like Halloween or like.
Right. Okay. So one thing, and I ask a lot of people this question during interviews, but as an actor, at least from my experience, having a reel really helps, and having, really good clips on your reel has really helped me. But some directors don't like that when you ask, because they're like, hey, I paid you, it's my film now, or, so how do you ask for that? And what do you think about actors asking for a clip, or,
So one thing that's really important to note is if it's television, that director may really have just been a guest for that episode. So they may or may not have any connection to the project after the day you work with them, certainly on commercials for sure.
Okay.
So when you get a job, you'll get a call sheet. Back in the day, we'd actually get hard copies, where you'd get a paper one, or you could download it and you'd have it on set. And now you probably get it digitally, but on that call sheet, it will tell you who the producer is and what their phone number or email address is. So that's who you message, not the director. Message the producer, message a showrunner, message anyone who is responsible for the actual series or show or film, because you may never, like you said, you may never get anywhere. But most people on a crew, similar to you as an actor, all these other people are just hired for the day or the week or the project. And so they have the same uphill battle on their own to try to get copies of their work as well.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
you definitely want to reach out to the producer. If it's indie, the director and producer,
Yeah.
it's a different vibe
Yeah,
because it's
right.
usually a director's baby.
But is it annoying or is it commonplace? If you do.
I don't think it's annoying. It's just knowing who could help you and who probably really can't. So with a commercial, it's the producer or the ad agency or your agent. And you can always put your agent on it and say, so that you're not annoying, let them be annoying, and they'll do it, because if they get that copy for you, they know they're going to be able to market you more. So it's a win-win for everyone. So if you're not comfortable doing it, make sure your agent is the one contacting the producer or the agency meaning the production company who produced the show or the commercial or the ad, but you have to get copies of your work.
Well, Maya, I so very much appreciate you taking the time, because I know you're busy, and I appreciate you as a director. I'm proud of you as a director, as an African-American woman, and I'm so very happy to have had the opportunity to work with you. And I just want to thank you. And anything else you want to say?
I have a book out.
Yes, tell me about
People
the
can
book.
get my book.
The
Book has nothing to do with acting, but there is there's a little bit more that you get a sense of sort of my trajectory as an artist in there. But it's called Through the Banks of the Red Cedar, My Father and the Team That Changed the Game. And it's about my father, Gene Washington's journey from the segregated South to Michigan State University and later the Minnesota Vikings as a pioneer in football and college athletics. He was a member of the first fully integrated college football team. I also made a film by the same name, so that you can watch on PBS platforms. You can get the book on Amazon or in bookstores. And another film that I have out right now is called Clear, and you can stream that on Quelly TV and on Argo.
Okay.
So there's my little plugs.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Maya, and much continued success to you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye.
Pictures up, go there. Au revoir.
The doors have been opened a lot for diversity behind the camera. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, I think, I just can't even believe how much, as difficult as things are still in the ways that we have, all kinds of discrimination and limitations still that exist, in the
Right.
industry. It's been unbelievable to see the changes that have happened in like the past 10 years. Things that weren't possible are now possible. And it's really, really cool to watch and see that there is a shift happening. There are opportunities, there are doors opening. And I think I feel much more hopeful about the future of the industry. I feel, part of the reason I started making my own films was because I was really disillusioned by the lack of roles that really spoke to who I was or the experiences that I, wanted to tell stories around. Even as an actor who I think, for me, if you're making a living and you're able to pay your rent and feed yourself, and even if you're not doing it full time, but you're doing it. So I want to be clear to that. I was fortunate that I was a full-time actor and I'm a union member and stuff like that. And I also believe whether that's your path or not, if you're an actor and you're showing up and doing the work and you're finding ways to grow in your craft, like you're an actor. You don't have to wait for somebody to confirm that you're an actor. Do you know what I mean? If this is your passion and this is what you're putting your energy and effort into. But even as someone who, by the standards that I had set for myself, which is to make a full-time living, I was able to do that, but it wasn't as satisfying as, the education I paid for and the other, parts of who I am and the ways that I want to contribute to society. Waiting around for someone to hire you wasn't what I was, looking for. And so because of the lack of diversity and lack of opportunities, I started making my own projects and writing and directing. And my first film, White Space, toured all over the world and did all kinds of really cool things back in 2011. And that was made possible to me because of this sort of shift to digital filmmaking and the advancements in cameras that were available. And the Red camera was pretty new-ish at that time. And that really, changed the game, that the quality of work that you could make and the access to the world through film festivals and other opportunities. That became a door that opened for me. So I was able to tell the kinds of stories I've always wanted to tell. Both of my narrative short films that I produced through my production company, I have a role in. I'm an actor in a supporting character. But I've been able to write projects for people, for friends who I thought were really talented actors and that, who are equally frustrated about what was available to them. And so I definitely think what shifted 10 years ago, I'm just grateful that I was sort of part of this zeitgeist of women directors and women of color directors and non-binary directors and this shift. And luckily about 4 years ago found multiple communities like Film Fatales, which is an organization for women and non-binary feature film directors and television directors. There's a great group called Brown Girls Doc Mafia for documentary filmmakers. And there's all these really great communities. So the realization is when I first got started, I didn't necessarily see a lot of, women directors around me in 2011. I'd meet them at, film festivals and things like that. But to know that there are like probably thousands of women identified directors around the country is pretty cool, and that they're organized and they're helping each other. And that's what's really exciting about these times. And then you have people like yourself who are helping actors. with the resources and tools that they need. So it's an exciting time. Even though, in the news and in our day-to-day lives, it can feel like, oh, we haven't, nothing's
Yeah.
changed,
Yeah.
things are so difficult and I'm so tired of the blankisms, all the isms. But I know it is truly better than it was 10 years ago in terms of what's possible for me and what's possible for you as well.
Okay, well, we have about 4 minutes left. Any last words for actors or even, prospective directors or?
No, I think, if this is what you love to do, trust that and do it. Don't wait for someone to hire you to do it. Hopefully, everyone gets hired and gets jobs and gets opportunities to work on, big budget projects. Because it's fun, right? It's cool and you get to make really cool things.
Yeah.
But if you truly love what you do and you love to tell stories, where in your life can you offer your talents? Can you go read at a children's school or on Zoom, read picture books to children or find ways to give in your community your gifts and your talents and to do that and to stay connected to why you love it and don't base your career on whether or not someone else agrees or hires you, but on the very fact that you are giving of yourself and finding audiences who like you and like what you do and developing those relationships, I think is a really great approach.
Mm-hmm. Well, Maya, I so very much appreciate you taking the time because I know you're busy and I appreciate you as a director. I'm proud of you as a director, as an African-American woman. And I'm so very happy to have had the opportunity to work with you. And I just want to thank you. And anything else you want to say?
I have a book out.
Yes, tell me about
People
the book.
can get my book.
The
Book has nothing to do with acting, but there is there's a little bit more that you get a sense of sort of my trajectory as an artist in there. But it's called Through the Banks of the Red Cedar, My Father and the Team That Changed the Game. And it's about my father, Gene Washington's journey from the segregated South to Michigan State University and later the Minnesota Vikings as a pioneer in football and college athletics. He was a member of the first fully integrated college football team. I also made a film by the same name, so that you can watch on PBS platforms. You can get the book on Amazon or in bookstores. And another film that I have out right now is called Clear, and you can stream that on Quelly TV and on Argo.
Okay.
So those are my little plugs.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Maya, and much continued success to you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye.
Come on, let's go. Pictures up, pictures up. Come on, let's go, let's go.
That was in 1983, I believe. Okay. And Purple Rain was shooting.
Wow.
And if you were here during the 80s, but that was the place.
Yes.
Punk rockers.
Pictures Up is.
This gonna be the bomb.
You know what? If you give me actors that come out of Pictures Up and it's that, then I'll do that for you.
So I just went in and auditioned, and after the audition, then I mean, it was like a snowball. Things just took off really fast. Shortly after, it was preparing for the night before Christmas.
And you also recently did a national spot for the NCAA during the Final Four, and many people said they saw you on a commercial.
Yes,
Can you
I'm
talk a
really-
little bit about that?
I'm proud of that too, and actually I got that through information that you presented, so you have a lot of things that I'm really happy to know with your wealth of experience and background and contacts as well, so thank you for that.
Pictures Up, go there. Au revoir.